Hi everyone, today's session is on the topic of law meets tech. And today I have in my panel Miriam, Simba, and Adora. Just as a brief introduction of myself, I'm Barrister Khalique Zaman. I'm a partner at a law firm which practices in Pakistan by the name of Barsols Legal Consultants. We specialize in corporate transactional law, but have an interest in startups and tech law. We today are just going to go ahead with this panel at Future Fest, which is one of the largest tech platforms in Pakistan. And welcome to you all. Please, one by one, can you kindly give your introductions? Miriam?
Sure, I'll go first. I'm Miriam. I'm a lawyer in Italy, and I am specialized in data protection and all that is related to tech. My passion is focused on artificial intelligence, and I also am a journalist. Tech for me is a passion, so I love to work with everything is related to it, in particular also with startup. And I'm also an associate at ICT Legal Consulting, which is one of the largest law firm that deals with data protection matters.
Wonderful. Simba?
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. My name is Simba Makahamadze. I'm the founder and CEO of Africa Legal Tech, which runs the African Law Platform. I'm an intellectual property lawyer and have been practicing for the past 14 years, and of course 8 years in Dubai, the UAE. So on African law, we have got a technology platform that gives the global market direct access to lawyers in the African continent. And I also run a Palladium IP Consultants, which is an IP consulting firm based out of the UAE. Yeah, that's all. I'm really passionate about innovation and, of course, protecting that innovation through intellectual property law.
Wonderful. Adora?
Hi, everyone. My name is Adora. I am a senior software engineer currently working at data section of cloud infrastructure and developer platforms. I also have a nonprofit called NexaScale. There, we help people start and scale their tech careers through connecting them to job opportunities or other opportunities that help them build.
Wonderful. So as the topic today is tech meets law. So my first question to all of you would be, has really tech met law as of today in different jurisdictions where you all are practicing?
I'll go first. I would say that yes, law has met tech, but not in a good way, scaring the law mostly. Because what I can see in my jurisdiction is that as a lawyer, we are scared that will be tech to replace us in different ways. But my feeling is that lawyers will replace lawyers, with the difference that this replacement will be based on the fact that the lawyer that can use technology, that can be more efficient, that can be more precise and just more sympathetic with the client because knows the tech part, is the lawyer that will replace the classic lawyer, if we can call it this way.
Wonderful insights. Simba?
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes, conditionally, and just add to what Miriam has said. Tech has definitely met law, but I mean, I for myself, I don't consider myself as a standard lawyer because I'm very tech savvy. I'm actually passionate about technology. But what I have experienced is that I think it's a generational issue where we've got the millennials who are more tech savvy, and then we've got the other generation that is quite standard in terms of practicing law, where using a whole lot of tech tools to practice is not something that that they can do. And then in terms of the growth of tech, talking about AI and I mean what is happening now, I look at it from a positive side of things, where it's an opportunity for the legal industry to really tap into the tech space. And when it comes to AI being human created, there is no way that AI is going to take over and replace us as lawyers. That for sure is not going to happen. But what is going to happen, like Miriam said, is the lawyers that are tech savvy, is the lawyers that using AI that are going to replace those who are reluctant, or that are going to replace those who are who are not keen to really embrace technology. So that's the first part. And then when I look at technology from a productivity side of things, where lawyers can at least use case management softwares, where they are really pushing on the productivity side, invoicing, reporting, and all sorts. What I've also seen, especially from the African side of things, is that there is the issue of, besides the issue of reluctance using tech, there's the issue of the cost, which I think is also kind of prohibited tech to really meet law in a way that we would appreciate. So the cost of technology, the cost of case management softwares is also something that has affected the adoption of technology in terms of
Thank you so much. Now we're going to hear from Adora, who's going to give us a non-law point of view.
Right. So I don't think tech hasn't met everything, if that makes sense. I think that tech has found its place in every industry. Probably not to the degree that I would like today. And, baby steps, these things take time, right? But you see tech everywhere. Apart from the fact that, there's, tech enhancing law, and there's also law making tech better, or it's both ways. We've seen, one of our panelists here today, Simba, he's an IP lawyer, right? Right. So being an IP lawyer, I have a friend that is also a tech and IP lawyer. So basically she sits in, a lot of all these tech conversations, and, is bringing the legal side to things, because you need that side at the end of the day. If you also even look at, I work primarily on the cloud, right? If we're building systems on the cloud, distributed systems that, you want people all around the world to access, you need to understand that different countries, different regions, different continents have different regulations or regulatory practices. So if you're going to be thinking about, there's in California, for example, there's a California Data Act. So how do you handle data if, for people that stay in California? If you're in Europe, for example, you want to think about GDPR. If you are handling medical data, you want to think about those standards for handling, important electronic patient data and things like that. And all of these things are typically around data privacy, and there are legal frameworks that empower that. So obviously there's law right there. And I'm seeing a lot of, there's the intersection between law and cybersecurity. So a lot of people that, study law in school go ahead to become, cybersecurity experts and data privacy leaders and things like that, because these are important things. Also, we've seen people providing online legal services, and tech is empowering that. So I believe that, yes, tech has met law in the degree that everybody would like. I mean, I don't know, because I'm not a lawyer, so I can't speak to that. But there's evidence, here and there that, there's tech today in law.
Thank you so much. My 2 cents on this is that, coming from a jurisdiction like Pakistan and having worked in a few other jurisdictions, is that lawyers, in comparison to other fields, are a bit more hesitant when it comes to tech. And as Miriam quite rightly highlighted, that there's a fear amongst lawyers, and which is wrong. And again, Simba was on point when he said that tech-savvy lawyers will replace lawyers who are not that savvy. In the end, there should nothing be too fair for lawyers or anyone, to be honest, because AI in total will not replace each and every job. It's just going to be who uses these tools in a better way will replace people who cannot use these tools. So coming on to the next question is that what do you think is the reason, other than obviously fear? Is it the generational gap, as Simba highlighted, or is it something else? Is it the disparity amongst the resources the lawyers have in different jurisdictions, or even like, for example, like the tech in United Kingdom would be much more advanced in comparison to the tech in Pakistan. What do you feel is the reason that lawyers have not actually met tech like the way they should have, as Adora said?
Okay, I will go first. I think the one key point that Adora mentioned was to do with the regulatory issues. That's number one. Like, for example, when it comes to working on the cloud, then there are really issues around data protection and privacy and all that. And as lawyers, we are very conscious about that. And then there's yes, the issue of a generational gap. I think I also want to point that out, because I've seen that, I've experienced that way. I mean, for example, the African Law Platform it's tech driven. It has got the productivity side where lawyers can manage their matters and do invoicing and all that. But what we have seen is the work that we are doing in terms of equipping lawyers to be able to use those tools. It's a lot of work. I don't know, maybe we've been reluctant, or we've been relaxing and not thinking about how technology should really come and be utilized in that industry. So the hesitation is there, and we are also making effort to make sure that we actually train and educate our users in terms of using the technology and the platform. And what I've also seen in this region is there is also an inclination of using in-house generated technology tools. The move towards the cloud is very, very slow, and they're very skeptical in terms of using the cloud because of the issues of data protection. So some of the tools that you would experience in firms is internally developed technologies where they sort of feel comfortable that clients' data is secure. But I do believe there are a couple of points where that we can address in terms of why the legal industry has not really met tech. And if you look at the funding side, for example, I'm in a legal tech startup industry. The funding itself for legal tech, it's not as what you would expect generally when you look at figures, fintech, edutech, health tech. There's also a difference there. So the legal industry is really catching up, but I think we can do more.
Definitely. Miriam?
I totally agree with Simba. And I would also add that there's a mentality problem. So lawyers have done things the same way for centuries. They read books, they think about it, they put themselves into the law and take their experience too. And I am feeling that one of the big worries is, what would client think if I openly say, well, I work also with technology, which improves me, which helps me, which makes me more efficient, but takes away a little part of that classical lawyer, the classical images that people has in mind when they think about lawyers. And in this context, when I see other colleagues of mine working with these technologies, most of the time they don't say it. They are not open about it. And they provide feedback in a much quicker way, for example, but they never say, oh, I use ChatGPT, for example, because they may think that clients will think less of them. And I believe that this is completely wrong, because we see a world that is going fast and faster, and we cannot be the slow ones. And that is connected also to what Simba was saying about figures. We are very, very little in comparison with fintech, for example. Legal tech has just started, where fintech, for example, is much farther. So this is something that for me is connected also to the mentality that needs to change, the paradigm that needs to change, starting from the single lawyer and moving that to the big companies that work in legal tech.
Wonderful. Adora, what would you add on this?
I wouldn't want to add anything because I have the tech context, and I feel like this question was more the law context. So I can't say, oh, lawyers should do, this or that. I think one thing that I want to say, though, is that I know that embracing change is very difficult to do, especially for the non-millennial lawyers, like maybe the ones that are still practicing, that are Gen X and boomers. It's very difficult. Even my parents, for example, it's very difficult to tell them to use their mobile phones for payments, because it's like, why? So I know for sure that it might not happen in the next couple of years, but it's getting to that phase where if you don't integrate technology into your practices, you might phase out in your career, because technology is probably going to power like a bunch of things. Because I mean, apart from the fact that technology connects people and it makes you work from different people in different parts of the world, like we are having this conference via technology right now, technology makes you more productive. So people are going to, industries are going to tap into that more. And if you are not, joining to see how it can benefit you and make you do the work that you're supposed to be doing a lot better, then you might lose out. I think that's as much as I'm going to say, because I don't have the law context to say more than that.
Thank you. What I would like to say upon this is that during COVID, that was a blessing when it came to lawyers to adapt to different sort of, tech measures, to adapt to as we're speaking today on Zoom. Before COVID, I think so lawyers would have never adopted to such a thing. Online meetings, yes, but even court proceedings today are being done through like online and through tech. Similarly, there are many other mechanisms, like work from home is a concept which is pretty new when it comes to the legal fraternity. And this is because COVID hit us. Before that, I feel like there was nothing like work from home. Moving on from, like, there was a very important point that Simba raised about data protection and security. I want to raise a question that there's a fear amongst lawyers and also clients that they do not want to use several of these tech advancements, like even ChatGPT or cloud, because they fear that the data might get leaked, because it is very sensitive data. Lawyers are given data from the companies, like the information they have. They do not want to divulge that information with anyone else. Could there be legislation as well, which could really help? Even if you're using cloud, there are such stringent laws, and if these laws are actually already there in jurisdictions like Italy, UAE, or UK, to enforce strict data protection, where clients and lawyers do not have this fear that any information they share will not be secure.
I'll go with this one. And I would say that we have the laws and the regulation. And you can see to that on two ways: as something that holds you back, or as something that can help you to work in the correct way. Because when it comes to tech, there always will be a problem with data leak when it comes to human error, because we can put together all the kind of infrastructures and do all the kind of training, but if I am distracted by something and I put my password on a sticky note and I leave it on my desk, there's nothing that no one can do for prevent it, really. So that being said, when you work with law and regulation, you also learn to use them at your favor. So we can develop tools that are compliant so that our clients will not fear data leaks or will not fear not to be compliant to, for example, the GDPR. And we are also seeing different kind of regulation at the European level. For example, the AI Act that is coming to an end and to become real, that can help to put together all the little pieces that this kind of worldwide regulation are coming towards, because there are some principles that you can find in all these regulation. So here again, a change of mentality would help. So how can I work with this regulation in a sense of implementing them and making my tools safer for me as a lawyer, for my clients? And so in this way, being able to spread the use of tech wider.
Thank you. Simba?
Yeah, I think like Miriam is saying, the real issue is when it comes to tech, it's human driven, and obviously there's always room for human error. We do have legislative measures, the General Data Protection Regulations, for example, and different efforts that are being put together. But still, there is always that room, and that's what raises concern when it comes to clients and the protection of their data. And then another point that I also want to add on that is that I think the legislative process for Europe, where Miriam is sitting, I would say it's better, where the movement is quite faster. There are jurisdictions where the legislative process is very long, and never has it been able to catch up with technology and how it is moving. And I think you have seen the wave of generative AI and how some governments ended up banning things because they don't really know what to do in terms of regulating. So they would rather ban and try to think of ways of regulating before they go ahead. So it's sort of country specific when it comes to how countries can regulate when it comes to technology, and most importantly, issues around data protection and privacy.
Adora, a question from you would be that, so opportunities, when it comes to job opportunities, so for people in law, do they have any job opportunities in the tech sector? As you mentioned, they might go to the cybersecurity, and in my mind, legislation and policy making is one thing where lawyers can definitely help connect these two, bridge this gap, and really bring about a really good change. What's your view on this?
I think there are a lot of opportunities for lawyers in tech, because the truth is, technology alone is nothing without the policies, without the government, without the infrastructure, without the economy. So let's say I wake up and I build technology that, allows me, I build AI, or I build technology that allows me go to space, or I wake up and I build, another big company like Vodafone, or all these internet companies, right? If we don't have, or I build another cloud, like AWS or Azure or Google, if we don't have the right policies, people are going to exploit these things in ways that they shouldn't be exploited. If we don't have the right infrastructure to scale this to different regions, we wouldn't tap into other economies. So law is also one of these things that's needed in technology, beyond the different fields that a lawyer can pursue in cybersecurity. There's also the opportunity to make impacts, in policy making for these technologies that are being built. Work with the government and work with the companies creating these technologies to, build out these policies that work. And also in the context of like regular, it's still part of policies, but when you think of technologies like AI and blockchain, for example, I've talked about cybersecurity, right? You are going to need to put some kind of regulation to how AI is being used, or what AI can be used for, or what exactly the blockchain should be used for, what the blockchain can do within the context of your country or your economy. And these are places that, lawyers can also shine. And these are also things within the tech space beyond the typical, I'm a tech lawyer, so I'm giving advice to tech companies. I'm helping these tech companies, get registered, and I'm providing them with legal advice and, in terms of, decision making and things that they have to do as well, because I'm part of their legal team. These are also things that, lawyers can do.
Perfect. This is something which I've also noticed working with several startups in Pakistan, that there are many lawyers who've actually delved into other fields, like they become entrepreneurs, not just in legal tech. Legal tech is a space which, as Simba said, needs to grow big time all across the world, but in other fields as well. And being lawyers, I feel like they have an advantage of knowing, like, how to get around things, registrations, not just, like in their jurisdiction, but other jurisdictions as well. And they do turn out to be good entrepreneurs. So I feel like there's a lot of, like, room for lawyers to actually go ahead and start their own ventures. And we can see, like, especially in the US now, there's several lawyers who are retired, but basically they have initiated their startups and raised startups like Up Counsel, Rocket Lawyer, which are pretty amazing. As far as the next question goes, what do you guys see is the future of AI and tech in law, and how this future will be shaped if we as lawyers and tech people get together and promote this?
I'll go first. I would say that it would, for the first thing that comes to my mind is that it can really makes our life easier as consultant from one side and as people from the other. I mean, as far as we understand and internalize, I would say that we cannot escape technology. We have to deal with it. We have to implement it, as the other panelists were saying, for being competitive and being able to keep doing our job. The worst part would be overcome the fear. So understand that AI and technology are just tools. They are no good and no bad. They are just tools. We have to implement them in our daily life, but also in our profession. So we cannot escape from that. And when this will become reality, I see lawyers that will be able to provide, I would say, better output, meaning that they will be able to focus on what really matters, because we cannot deny that we are tangled up in repetitive tasks and things that are sometimes a waste of time. So the lawyer of the future, the tech lawyer, meaning the lawyer that uses tech, would be for sure a more efficient one, but I would say also a more internally quiet one, because when you take away all that raise stress and get tasks that, for example, always late because we have some time-consuming tasks that are taking our time, and we cannot focus, for example, to prepare really well for a discussion for a client that make us stressed, and also on a personal level that take away something from us. So I would say that the lawyer of the future would be a better professional and a better person, for sure.
Simba.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I will also speak for myself in terms of how I've come to appreciate the role of technology in the work that I do. Looking at also the generational issue that I've said, I mean, technology continues to develop, and we've got a whole bunch of lawyers that are going to come after us, who have actually been born and raised in the tech space. So definitely there's going to be an improvement when it comes to the future and how tech will be utilized in the legal industry. But for now, I think it's a matter of understanding the value of tech and what it can do in terms of practice, which I have personally experienced. I mean, there are a whole lot of mundane tasks that lawyers do every day that can be automated, and that will then give them an opportunity to look at the key issues in terms of serving clients or making the lives of clients easier and delivering even faster, depending on the kind of technology and the tools that they'll be using. So the future for me is definitely looking good, and there will be more adoption of tech in the legal space.
Adora, what would be your views on this?
The question is around the future of AI and tech in law. I think that we're going to see situations where AI enhances law and law also makes AI better. Law making AI better could be around, something like AI enhanced legal research, for example. That could be a thing that can, like one of the speakers said, a bunch of lawyers keep doing mundane and repetitive tasks. And if there was a way to, use artificial intelligence to automate, these things, that would be good. And I see the future being run heavily on automation. A bunch of mundane things will be automated in law and beyond law. I also know that right now, a lot of companies are building for AI and building with AI. And as a result, it's not as, stable as would like it to be just yet. Some companies have customers and are, building already interesting things that people are already using. And, for some, they're still, building and testing and trying to figure out. What this means is that there's going to be a lot of issues, which we've seen before, right? And we've seen, the AI is as a result of the people around it. So when we think of, I'm going to come and talk about, like, in the context of ethics, for example, building ethical AI, and there's going to be some kind of synergy between building ethical AI and, legal tech, for example, because obviously there has to be some kinds of regulations in terms of like ethics and mitigating the bias as well that comes with AI learning things in a way that it shouldn't be learning it or whatever. So there will be opportunities for the legal industry as well to focus on addressing these ethical concerns and these AI biases, just so that there are more and fair, outcomes, just outcomes as well. And then, I've talked about blockchain before, and, blockchain tech and smart contracts, people are going to continue exploring the potential. And then obviously you have lawyers there as well, thinking about how to automate and secure these legal agreements. And I'm sure that there will be a way to start using AI for learning. And if you're going to be using AI for learning and people are using AI to teach math and chemistry, I'm sure that at some point people might be using AI to teach law as well. So there's, a bunch of different opportunities when you're looking at the future where AI adds value to the legal industry, and the legal industry also makes sure that AI is kept in check.
Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful session. And in short, the future of AI, tech, and law, when they meet together, would be very bright. I feel like that is the future. And lawyers will become tech savvy with time as more and more tools are being built to help them. And the legal tech space has a lot of potential to grow as well. Any last concluding words by Adora, Miriam, Simba, please?
I think I'm going to leave everyone with the fact that it's important to not neglect these technologies because they are not coming. They have come and they will take over. The technologies are the technologies. It's a black box. It depends on how you use it. So don't be afraid to interact with these technologies because you feel like, oh, they are bad or whatever. It depends on the humans using the technologies and what these technologies are being used for. Social media was created to connect people with each other. But here we have today, a lot of people are using social media for the wrong things that they shouldn't have been using it for. And some other people have used social media to also enhance their lives and enhance their careers. So at the end of the day, it depends on you and what you are prioritizing and what you want to use technology for. So I would strongly advise that you tap into using technology, you tap into using, if you're a lawyer, you tap into adding tech into your workflow because this has come and is not going anywhere.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, just to add to what Adora is saying, I think my last words would be technology and AI. They're already here, and they're also going to be more complex and sophisticated. And but in that, they are not going to replace lawyers. They're not going to replace people. It's people who are going to be using those tools efficiently who are going to replace those who are not using those tools. And it will also be important to look at the legislative approach in terms of keeping the tech and AI in check, like Adora has said, which I think at some point tech and AI will also be instrumental in trying to bridge the gap between how technology is moving and how the legislative process is also moving. I'm sure we'll get to a stage where we use tech to review all the laws for specific country and sort of recommend the appropriate changes in line with the technology.
And I would add that it is important to look at technology with curiosity and not with fear, because otherwise we would not get anywhere, because fear blocks you. Where curiosity, even if you don't trust the tool, whichever tool is, it can be some kind of legal tech tool, it can be some kind of chat box, it can be really anything. Curiosity allows you to go deeper into things and understand them, because most of the time I feel like people fear what don't understand and they say no because they don't feel comfortable with that too. My advice would be go into that uncomfortable zone as a lawyer, as a person, and try to look at it with curiosity, try to understand it, and try to ask yourself, how can this tool help me and my clients do better, work better, but at the hands of all, live better?
Thank you so much. It has been a wonderful session with all of you with very, very valuable insights. And from what I heard, the future of law is with tech and AI. And as soon as lawyers adapt, the better it is for them. Thank you so much.